Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, March 17, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. While many persons are concerned about the health implications which COVID-19 can have on their health and the strain on the health system, the economic impact are also being monitored worldwide, including here at home. To this end, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade has been engaged in discussion with private sector stakeholders on the virus impact on economic activities and what can be done to cushion the effects. At a press conference yesterday to outline a week of activities in commemoration of Consumer Rights Day, observed on Sunday, March 15, under the theme, The Sustainable Consumer, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Sir Louis Straker, said education of the public is key in this area to protect the right of all consumers.
The attention of the world has been focused on the damaging effects of the novel coronavirus 2019. This, of course, has far-reaching effects on trade and commerce, to say the least. Now, as Minister responsible for trade and commerce, it is critical for any action taken by extension, this ministry, to ensure, first of all, the life and safety of all Vincentians. Given the fact that St. Vincent the Grenadines, due to our economic size, is in no way able to influence what happens on the global market, it is vitally important that whatever policies and regulations are put in place would be well ventilated among stakeholders across the private and public sectors for their input so that consumers and suppliers would not be disadvantaged in any unfair way.
Since news broke of the coronavirus in SVG, many persons have been engaged in panic buying, with some supermarkets and pharmacies reporting a shortage in hygiene products. There have also been complaints about price gouging. Sir Louis said he is aware of the issue. However, he noted that conditions on the international market have affected the price of goods being imported, and this too must be taken into consideration.
We discussed also the supply chain and the existing stock of food and essential items. What is understood from the private sector is prices from their suppliers have been skyrocketing. This, of course, is something that cannot be controlled from our end or the end of the suppliers here in St. Vincent the Grenadines. On the international market, we are unfortunately price takers and not price influencers. In some cases, requested goods were not available to be shipped due to inventory shortage. The supply chain has been affected at all levels of production. Again, something beyond our control. There was also the issue of logistics in the shipment of goods to our shores. It was pointed out that certain reservations were made clear by shipping companies who face the risk of having their employees being affected by the coronavirus upon berthing. The government, of course, will look to address these concerns most expeditiously.
And Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said he will be zero-rating imported items that are required for hygiene purposes. The initiative is one of several announced by the Prime Minister at the annual National Heroes Day wreath-laying ceremony held last Saturday at the obelisk here at Dorchester Hill as part of the country's response to COVID-19 or the coronavirus. The Prime Minister said the Ministry of Health will make the recommendation of the items needed to be zero-rated.
Give me this list on Monday. As soon as they give me the list and I'll agree on it, I will reduce to zero on that list all import taxes, levies, and VAT, so that the persons can get those things cheaper.
The Prime Minister warned against price gouging, which he said some businesses are guilty of, noting that prices on certain items will be closely monitored.
I want to show them that they can do normal trade. And if you do normal trade, you can make your reasonable markup as per usual. Don't take advantage of people to charge more for sanitizers and for aloes or alcohol, because you're mixing the strong rum with the aloe to give you a good hand sanitizer, because the rum is the sanitizer and the aloe is like the balm. You can't double the price of the bottle of aloe from $10 to $20 overnight. See that the merchant doesn't keep the price the same way, essentially collect the VAT and the taxes which we should have collected, and let the consumer pay for it. We'll watch for that too, because that would be gouging.
Minister of Agriculture Subota Caesar today dispelled claims that there would be a food shortage in the country soon. At today's press conference at Cabinet Room, Minister Caesar said the claims are malicious, noting that the country's food level is secure and there is no need for alarm.
Honorable Prime Minister, that this morning there was a WhatsApp message that was being forwarded around the country, and the phones are ringing off the hook at the ministry, that the ministry noted that only 3 weeks of supply of food is left in the country. Now, that is fake news. I want to outline that for starters, and that going forward, we have to listen closely to the Ministry of Agriculture through trusted means of communication to get the information out. Very important that we do that, and that's why we have to follow press conferences like these to be aware. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we are food secured. However, what we do not know in our assessment is how long we anticipate this problem to last. And here's where we go back to the issue of being proportionate.
Minister Caesar said they will be monitoring the imports from other countries closely, which will determine how his ministry respond, even as they have already put in place measures through the COVID-19 response mechanism.
Importantly, we are monitoring in conjunction with the Ministry of Labor whether or not the supermarkets and other wholesale importers, if when they make orders internationally, whether or not they're able to be supplied with the goods that they have ordered. Important thing. Because that is the mechanism which will trigger us to ramp up our local production.
Some countries in the region have imposed travel measures, which is being felt throughout the region. Minister Caesar explained an incident yesterday which involved a vessel going to Trinidad and Tobago.
Able to make a call to the authorities in Trinidad, which permitted the vessel to leave, but under the condition that the crew would not be allowed to go onto the territory. And the traffickers were able to make an arrangement with the persons who they usually wholesale to in Trinidad and Tobago, so that when the vessel comes down to Trinidad, that they will be able to sell the goods on their behalf. Of course, the issue of trust is one which is significant in that regard. But what is more is that it was clearly noted to us that we are not yet aware if the same arrangement will be allowed for Monday.
The Ministry of Agriculture here has been tasked by CARICOM to lead the way in addressing the region's food security in light of COVID-19. The claim of the food shortage was also dispelled by the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, which noted in a press release that its secretariat made checks to some of the supermarkets and import agencies here and who gave the assurance that stock levels are normal and adequate, and that they have invoked their reorder levels, and barring any major disruption of seaports operations, business remains as usual. 4 million EC dollars have thus far been allocated in response to COVID-19 in SVG. This was announced by Minister of Finance Camila Gonzalez at a press conference today. Tomorrow, Cabinet will deliberate and approve on critical measures being put in place by the government in response to the pandemic. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez said he has received the list of items to be zero-rated and further stated that new measures such as barrel concession will be discussed.
And a very interesting one. Should concessions on barrels be reintroduced for a particular period of time? Because people might have stuff to send home to their families, but they don't have any, they're cutting short the employment up there. Things are going to be difficult in America and in England and Canada. America and Canada, where the most of the barrels come from. Should we do something there?
The government will be seeking financial help from international lending agencies, and locally, the Prime Minister said the NIS has been approached as well. The Prime Minister said that they will also be utilizing the contingent fund, which was set up 2 years ago.
The tax to put on 1% on the VAT directly to the consolidated fund, 1 percentage point. And to put a $3 US tax per room, per night. But the $3 didn't stop people coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's COVID. But we built it up over the 2.5 years to 33 million.
Meanwhile, the finance minister said that SVG's economy has already felt the impact of COVID-19, especially in the tourism industry.
I called around yesterday. Some hotels in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, not a single guest in the hotels. And obviously, hoteliers can only keep staff on for so long if nobody's in there paying for the rooms. The global cruise ship lockdown will mean displacement for thousands of Vincentians who work on cruise ships. The estimates are that about 2,500 Vincentians, Prime Minister, more or less, work on cruise ships in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, from St. Vincent and the Grenadines globally. Hundreds of those will be coming home because the cruise ships have shut down, and hundreds of them will be coming home without a job.
In related news, the services normally offered at the Kingston District Clinic have been temporarily relocated to 5 other districts until further notice. A release from the Ministry of Health said the services of the Kingston Clinic will be delivered at the Sion Hill, Calico, and Camden Park clinics and at the Stubbs and Bookament polyclinics until further notice. On Monday afternoon, the Accident and Emergency Department of the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital was forced to close its doors after a member of the public with flu-like symptoms showed up there seeking care. The ministry said out of an abundance of caution, emergency services have been temporarily relocated to the Kingston District Clinic while the patient is assessed. Additionally, visited hours at the hospital remain suspended temporarily. And the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment today confirmed that a Nigerian Trinidadian national who traveled to St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Saturday, March 14, 2020, and was a suspected COVID-19 case, has tested negative for COVID-19. The suspected case at the Accident and Emergency Department on Monday, March 16th, has also been tested negative for COVID-19. All Vincentians are being reminded that if they have any flu-like symptoms, to call the COVID-19 hotline at telephone number 1784-534-HEALED or any district clinics for medical guidance. Students of the Trinity Medical School have been afforded the opportunity to return to their home countries and complete their spring term online. In a news release issued yesterday, the university said its campus remains open and fully staffed for students who choose to remain on the island, and in doing so, there will be no change to current employment status, pay or benefits for those members of the Trinity family. The university further noted that while the risk of contracted COVID-19 remains low, the situation continues to rapidly evolve, and its commitment to the health and well-being of staff and students is paramount. Dean of the college, Dr. Francis Purcell, said they are carefully monitoring the current situation in order to ensure the continued safety of its community, both in SVG and globally, and will provide the tools, resources, and support necessary for its students, faculty, and the communities they serve to best navigate the current global health crisis. The present situation is a good opportunity to show the value of human relationships and the hard work of social workers. So says President of the Social Workers Association, Rochelle Solomon, which was relaunched today at the Nemo Conference Room. The relaunch of the association forms part of activities to commemorate Social Work Day under the theme, The Importance of Human Relationships. The association was institutionalized in 1987 with 32 members with a wide range of training and education programs, but ceased to function in 1998 with 62 members. Speaking at today's ceremony, Solomon said Social Work Day is to promote the contribution of social workers worldwide, noting that the day's activities focus on the importance of human relationships.
This year's theme is the fourth and final theme of the 2010 to 2020 Global Agenda for Social Work and Social Development, focusing on human relationships. There's literature that focuses on social service workers mitigating the impact of COVID-19. According to the International Federation of Social Work, Secretary General Rory Truell, he focused on how interrelated we all are as humans and understanding this interrelatedness as a core skill. Our task as social workers, our mission and objectives of this launch is to advance this message of relationships in our communities, workplaces, with our government, and to shape a sustainable future for St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Solomon further emphasized that the current situation as it relates to the coronavirus aptly illustrates the importance of human relationships to communities.
Currently, this interrelatedness is highlighted by the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. It has shown that despite religion, race, gender, geography, social status that have been divisive factors, that we are all connected. Although many precautionary methods are encouraging isolation, quarantine, and social distancing, it is the human relationships and their power that is going to be the support and the comfort during this time of distancing. The value of the importance of human relationships is at the heart of what social workers do. For years, the profession has been confused and connected with welfare, and we understand this. And sometimes it goes unnoticed as to the length and breadth of who we are social work has evolved, people.
The social worker used the opportunity to challenge her colleagues to consider the importance of their work given the global climate as it relates to COVID-19.
The social service workers mitigating the impact of COVID-19 stated, social workers, you have a key role. You have a key role in addressing and disseminating appropriate information and facilitating context where people act in solidarity. We are in the middle of it now. We're in the middle of COVID-19, and this is our time to act and our time to step forward. COVID-19 is the uninvited guest of Social Work Month that was stated this morning, but we are ready because we can see the expansion of social work across the world, such as disaster management in social work. So we are moving away from direct practice. We are moving away from people thinking so small of social work. When you think of yourselves, think of how far you can go, how far you can take your profession, how far you can take St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Grants starting from $2,500 to $40,000 EC dollars will be made available for young Vincentians up to 40 years old. This will be done through the $2.4 million Youth Micro Enterprises Program Prime, which was launched today at Cabinet Room. Minister of Finance Camila Gonzalez said they are fast-tracking the program as a stimulus response to COVID-19. He said a steering committee was formed and is in the process of rolling out the program, as applications will become available from tomorrow online as well as at the office of the Prime Minister. The Finance Minister explained that it will be a speedy process with approval coming from Cabinet.
Clients, the successful applicants, will have to do a sort of a half-day basic training course about running a business and so on. We're not sending anybody to university for a $2,500 grant, but we're giving them some basic training to ensure they have some competence in managing money. And the requirements get higher as the amount of money granted gets higher. And at the top end, if it's a $40,000 grant, you wouldn't get all the money at once. You'll have to provide a business plan, certain targets, certain goals. You'll get your first tranche of money, and you're told that you'll get the next tranche if you meet certain criteria and targets that will be tailored to the business that it is you want to start.
Chairperson of the Prime Steering Committee, Anthony Redisford, said that they are looking for creative minds who do not have the finances to start a business and who will be assisted by the Center for Enterprise Development in the process.
Is going to support the program in a sense that they're going to shepherd a lot of the applicants when they're given the grants. Shepherding meaning they're going to support them with training, develop capacity to ensure that there's a high chance of success for the enterprise receiving the grant. Minister mentioned that we are not going to be bogged down by whether the business is going to be a success or not. Well, clearly, that is going to be more so on the low end of the scale. We want to, as he says, encourage an entrepreneurial spirit. We want to get people in the country thinking that they can create a job of their own.
Looking ahead, the Finance Minister said that community enterprise zones will be established across the country where space will be provided to conduct their business. The first will start in Glen.
And the right type of business, delivering the right type of service, may be given space in that community enterprise zone as part of its Prime grant. So maybe you don't need money. Maybe you come to Prime and you say, well, what you really need is some money to rent a place to deliver a specific type of service. And if that service matches with what is being considered by Prime as appropriate for that location, you may get a space to do your business. We're not talking about buying and selling dry goods. We're talking about delivering community services, if that's the type of business that you want. And construction will begin in Glen and in other selected areas in the coming months there.
Selection of successful applicants would represent gender equality, uniqueness of ideas, and must have a representation from a wide cross-section of communities. The market is the most important factor of production for any business, and Director of the Bureau of Standards, Ezra Ledger, says of equal importance is for consumers to have all necessary information in relation to standards to make informed choices. Ledger's comments came at a press conference yesterday hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade as part of activities to celebrate World Consumer Rights Day. Ledger said informed choices are necessary for consumers to make decisions which are sustainable both from a financial and environmental standpoint. He used the example of agricultural products to illustrate the need for proper information flow.
In order to make informed choices, we need to know the information, because many times, let's take for instance, part of the sustainability drive now is for organic or environmentally friendly produce. And there are a lot of claims on these produce. Some people say they're organic, some people say they're environmental, some people say they're natural. And we need to know the difference, because being natural doesn't mean it's organic. Okay, and being environmental friendly doesn't mean that it's organic, etc. So in order to make informed choices, we need to know about the standards, what the standards dictating. We need to know, in some cases, the type of machinery that were used. If, for instance, the agricultural produce, if they were produced using chemicals that in one way or the other would have destroyed either the organisms in the soil or would have contributed to residual pesticide residue in our products. So these are some of the issues that we are looking at.
The Bureau of Standards Director said over the years various standards have been implemented and this is commendable. He, however, noted that there is some deception as it relates to labeling.
The Bureau of Standards is supporting this sustainable consumer. We are at the same time building what we call our national quality infrastructure. Our national quality infrastructure is bringing together all of the pillars of our standard system, whether it's standardization, which is the document that dictates specification or form or definition of a product, or it's conformity assessment, which involves surveillance, inspection, testing, and all those parameters to ensure that, yes, this product is really complying with those parameters that the standards will dictate. So if this standard dictates that they should be pH 7, then the conformity assessment will do the test and to validate if this product is actually 7. Because part of sustainability is that we have to avoid deceptive practices. Because if we are deceiving or labeling on the fitness for use of the goods, it means that while we may assume that we're using a sustainable product, and the product was not properly produced as such, then obviously it will not fulfill the purpose of sustainability, because it will in some way or the other harm the environment or other attribute.
Ledger said false advertisement is another issue which the department will be tackling and explain why this is not a sustainable practice for any business.
There's one on the principles of advertisement. And many times, persons may advertise a product. And what they've been doing is that when persons consume this product or purchase the product, they're not getting what the product is advertised to do or to fulfill. So you might purchase a product, and I'm being down to earth here, an orange juice. It might be reconstituted or artificial, but on that label is a true picture of an orange. Now that is deceptive practice, because the orange, it is not natural orange juice or pure orange juice. It is artificially flavored. So once you put a real picture of an orange juice on a package, it gives the person impression that it is from, because that's the first impression you get from the label. So this is important that we are hoping to promote this standard and advertising, so that persons can know that they cannot just advertise their product for market value, but they have to advertise it based on the substance of the product, so a consumer can still make an informed choice.
The impacts of climate change can seriously affect life in vulnerable communities, and the community of Marikwa has received a boost in its capacity to deal with the many variables of this phenomenon. The Marikwa Satellite Warehouse Facility was officially opened yesterday. The facility, which was built at a cost of $1 million, is the fourth of 6 similar facilities built to assist communities after the impacts of climatic events. The Marikwa Satellite Facility has a storage area of 570 square feet, office space, washroom facilities, and water storage of 1,300 gallons. Member of Parliament for Marikwa, Sinclair Jimmy Prince, said the construction of the facility is part of the government's commitment to disaster preparedness.
Sometimes, and other times completely washed out. Waiting for supplies from Kingstown could be very inconvenient. Having the supplies in an area where they can be easily retrieved would go a long way in helping members of the community to cope. This project, therefore, is timely, it is well placed, and reflects the government's commitment to comprehensive disaster preparedness and resilience. This is a time of climate change, and the responsible government always thinks ahead. So we're being proactive in this regard. You are well aware that the government stands out as one which takes disaster management and climate change seriously. Every location in the state bears evidence of that commitment. Of course, the government started off by establishing NEMO, and as you know, the first minister of NEMO at the time was the Honorable Gordon Miguel, our own.
The facility is equipped with over $200,000 worth of equipment, and Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves highlighted some of the equipment stored at the facility.
Sledgehammers, wheelbarrows, pigfoot, forks, spades, cutlass, bosa, a heavy hammer, hacksaw, cable and blades. We have mechanical toolkit, chisel, then we have several ladders, chainsaw protective equipment, fire suppression equipment, fuel storage, lights like hurricane lanterns with extra wick. You know, remember, put a little oil in your lamp and keep it burning. Batteries, and firefighting things like fire blanket and rope. A lot of equipment costs nearly $200,000.
Director of NEMO, Michelle Forbes, said the equipment are not solely for disaster management and encouraged those supervising the use of the equipment to do so fairly and effectively.
The construction of these warehouses is part of our policy to decentralize emergency supplies that can be accessed by the community before and after emergencies. The overall management of these warehouses fall under NEMO, with a management team comprising of members selected by the community. I want to thank the team for volunteering your services and encourage you to work with all members of the community, church groups, and other organizations to ensure that your community is ready to face any emergency. These items are not for emergency only, but groups can come together and have community-driven activities right here in Marikwa, such as the trimming of the trees for an elderly person or cleaning the surrounding areas that are prone to flooding or be prepared for landslides. I ask that you take care of all these items in this warehouse and be fair and transparent at all times in your distribution and accounting for every item that is under your supervision.